right, so we're talking with Leslie.
Yeah.
We're talking with Leslie Whiting of Arizona Family Institute, and she's another counselor that we thought would be wonderful to talk to about this topic. So we're talking about adolescence, we're talking about screens, social media, we're talking about how this is affecting them. And earlier you said something that I thought was worth talking about. You said we're seeing major changes in adolescence, and I thought maybe you could talk about that for a minute. What are the changes you're seeing?
Well, when I was raising my kids, so granted my kids are in their 40s now, so I'm old. But when I was raising my kids, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have all of that. The big thing was, are you doing drugs? Are you drinking? Are you having sex? Okay, today, parents are like, are you having sex on your phone? What sex is going on your phone? What are you sexting with your friends? How are you, they get online, they learn everything about how to do drugs. It's not just go to a party and smoke a joint. It's like, oh, you're going to learn everything there possibly is about every kind of drug out there. Everything to do is online, and they're constantly exposed. They're bombarded with this barrage of information, and the kids don't know what to do with it. Then they text each other back and forth, and they're talking to each other, and they say things online that would never say in person. They do things online that they would never do in person.
What do you think drives that for them? They'll do anything.
They think that it's anonymity. That you can't. It doesn't really count. It's like I'm behind this screen. Like we've all been, sat at the stoplight and, done different things. I won't go into it, but done different things, and nobody can see me do it, But because we're in the shelter of our car. Well, no, everybody at the stoplight can see you doing that too. But we think we're safe because we're in the shelter of our car. But we're not, and so people will say things and think, well, that wasn't rude. Well, yeah, it was rude.
So somehow
it gets misinterpreted, and it gives us a sense of being braver than we really, being so much more aggressive.
Or that it's not real, so I can say whatever I want because it's not.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to that person face to face.
Right.
They're not seeing me face to face, so it's not real. So it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter, right? There's a lot of that goes on.
What effect is that having on behavior of kids now versus kids when you were raising
Increased
your own
aggression, increased aggressiveness, increased rudeness, increased sense of intolerance and of other people. Just that it's a whole sense of entitlement that I can say whatever I want to say, when I want to say it, how I want to say it, and you really don't have the right to. I don't need to really think about you. So that's part of the extreme. The other part of the extreme that I think that's happening so much now is we can't say hardly anything at all because of social media again.
Yeah. So on the one hand, kids are much more globally attuned,
Yes.
much more globally aware, much more sensitive. I was out to dinner with my adult son last week, and I made a comment which I thought was pretty harmless, and he was very offended by it.
Yes.
On behalf of some group who I didn't realize I was offending. And I'm generally pretty conscientious. I have no malice or ill will towards anybody, but his age group is very sensitive.
Oh, very
towards,
sensitive.
Being sensitive and tolerant
Yes.
of others, and yet we're also seeing the
The
opposite end of the spectrum
opposite.
where kids are less sensitive to each other.
I think so, because we see both ends of it.
So macroscopically, there's this great sense of awareness and tolerance and love, but when it comes down to interpersonal relationships,
It's not
It's
there.
the opposite.
It's not there.